Hi, hello, and welcome back to Ever So. This will be reading of Birds of a Feather by Summer Night 717. Summary. The first time he sees a demon, Tim is 4 years old. Of course, he had known for a while what his parents do on the night they send away the nanny of the time. His nannies never last very long. Tell him to stay quietly, very quietly in his room, and go down to the basement. But now they're taking him to the circus, and there will be demons. Or Baby Tim's first meeting with Dick Grayson. The first time he sees a demon, Tim is 4 years old. Of course, he had known for a while what his parents do on the nights they send away the nanny of the time. His nannies never last very long. Tell him to stay quietly, very quietly in his room, and go down to the basement. Tim is only 4 years old, but he's a really smart 4 years old. Or so all his nannies and teachers say. And his parents or their friends never seem to watch what they are saying when he's near. They don't often notice when he's around. He's really good at staying quiet, though not as good as he should be, because he still annoys Mommy and Daddy. But on the days when he's really good, when he's really quiet and sitting in a corner of the room while Mommy and Daddy talk with their friends, he hears a lot of stuff. He knows about the demons, the magic. He knows about the things Mommy and Daddy bring home from their trips abroad to sell to their special friends. And the things Mommy and Daddy keep at home to bring them luck. They need a lot of luck because they're running a really big, really important business. That's why Mommy and Daddy are rarely home. Why they can't afford the time to do all the things the kids in this class says their parents do. Though maybe they're making up stuff. Tim makes up stuff that he did with his Mommy and Daddy all the time. It stops grown-ups from looking at him weird. Mommy and Daddy work very hard, but hard work isn't enough. Not when they have to compete with the likes of Waynes and Luthors. So they need luck too, to make up. That's why they do magic in the basement. It's not magic, Mommy said, one night when Tim asked about it. Magic is just kid stuff, fairy tale stuff that Tim is too old for. What they do are called rites. R-I-T-E-S. And he isn't allowed to tell anyone about it, or it won't work. And they won't be able to get food or clothes or stay in their house. And it will be all Tim's fault. Or worse, the exorcist will come and take Mommy and Daddy away and lock him up in a little cell in Arkham forever and ever. And that will be all Tim's fault too. He never tells anyone. Of course he knows that. If you tell anyone what you wish on your birthday candles, it won't come true. He always wishes for Mommy and Daddy to stay home, but it never comes true. Though that may be because he almost never gets to do it on his actual birthday. Mommy and Daddy are busy. They forget. Mommy and Daddy had seen demons, have seen mage, have seen rites. Tim can too when he's older, but now Tim is old enough to see his first demon, and he can hardly bring himself to walk the proper way. Walk all nice and quiet right next to Mommy. Don't hold her hand though, that's for babies, and Tim is too old to be a baby. isn't he? The flying Graysons, Mommy and Daddy whispered to each other in the car. Acrobats, or so it said. An acrobat act, pretty famous. Stars of the show. A cover, obviously, Mommy whispers back. Just a cover for whatever that guy's Haley has him actually doing. Daddy didn't sound so sure. He keeps asking what anyone would want to do with a bunch of hard-up demons. Now, if it's an incubus, that may be, Daddy began, but Mommy glared at him and he stopped talking. But now, they're actually here. Actually at the circus. There, Daddy tells Mommy. All three, Mommy draws in a sharp breath. It's true. If we can pull this off, hush! The demons don't look, well, very demonic. Tim has heard his Mommy and Daddy and all their friends talk about demons. How horrible they look. How this one friend of theirs saw demons once and straight dropped dead of a heart attack. Yes, Tim might have been a little scared. The same thing might happen to him, but really, if it might, Mommy and Daddy wouldn't have brought him, right? These demons, though, they don't look scary. There are three of them, like him and Mommy and Daddy. A boy a little older than him and his Mommy and Daddy. At least, Tim supposes, it is his Mommy and Daddy. They're dressed in the same colors, red and yellow and green. They're laughing. The boy is older than Tim, but he's holding his Mommy's hand, looking up at her and talking. His daddy chuckles at something he said and ruffles his hair. They aren't dressed like demons. Tim isn't really sure what demons dress like. He only seen them on TV and on the internet, but they dress all in dark, or well, don't dress at all. But the TV demon may not be the real ones. They're dressed like the rest of the circus people, in bright colors, smiling and talking like the rest of the people around them do. Tim can't take his eyes off them. He isn't watching his feet, so he stumbles a little when Mommy hurries him along to greet the demons. Mommy grabs his hand to put him back on his feet, and Tim manages to hold on a little longer than necessary. It kinda feels nice to be touched, to feel warm. Mommy and Daddy don't seem scared of the demons either. They don't seem angry either, the way they were in the car. They're smiling, looking so happy. Tim wonders if that is the rule. Maybe you aren't allowed to look scared when you're talking to a demon. Like the internet says what you're supposed to do if you see a bear. You're not supposed to show you're scared. But Mommy and Daddy are not just not scared. They seem as thrilled as Tim himself to see them. Tim's own smile widens. Maybe that is what Mommy and Daddy says about connecting with them. Maybe he finally manages to connect with Mommy and Daddy. He found a common interest, like Daddy says. So maybe they won't go away again. Mommy even ruffled his hairs a bit. Tim should be paying attention to them, but he knows he should. But he is transfixed by the demons. They're so bright. They don't look like they scare anyone to death or eat people or any of the horrible stuff they do. But maybe they're disguised, like the witch in the story Mrs. Mac read to them once. The boy looks at him and smiles. The smile is so bright and too nice to be fake. It isn't a gala smile. Hi, Timmy. The demon sounds actually pleased to see him. Tim starts a letter. Scared, the demon knows his name, but then remembers Mommy and Daddy had already been talking to the demons. They likely told them his name. He must have zoned out, as Daddy says. He zones out too much. Hi, Tim manages to say, though he is staring at the demon. It's very nice to meet you. Same to you, Timmy. The boy looks so nice when he smiles. Not like the gala smiles. Tim sometimes dreams he has an older brother. Tim sometimes dreams he has a big brother, the way Alec in his class does. The demon boy smiles like he'll be the best big brother ever. I'm Dick Grayson. Dick is a bad word. Mommy had told him that before, after Daddy got angry with his special friend and called him a dick in front of Timmy. But maybe the rules are different for demons? Mommy doesn't shush him or glare at him the way she did when Daddy said that bad word. In fact, she's still smiling ever so brightly. Can Tim take a photo with you? Mommy asks, and Tim thinks his face will split apart with how wide he smiles. Take a photo with them. Take a photo with Dick Grayson in his bright colors and brighter smile. Tim could pretend Dick Grayson is his actual big brother and they're all going to the circus together. He's always wondered whenever he'd be scared when he finally allowed to see a demon. Whenever he'd cry and let them all down the way he did when Mommy and Daddy first took him to a gala. But now he isn't scared at all. He willingly goes to stand with the Graysons, who are all smiling. Smiling seems to be the way their faces are. Here, Dick Grayson kneels down so that he's at the same height as Tim and wraps him in a hug so they pose for photos. Tim practically melts into the hug. He can remember when he was hugged last. Probably by Annette before she left for college and stopped babysitting him. But this has to be the best hug he got. He has no idea why people are scared of demons at all. Tim almost tells Dick that, but he remembers the rules in time. You never talk about the demons or rights outside home. He isn't sure if the rules hold when you're talking to demons themselves, but better not risk it. He can always ask Mommy later. Maybe they can come again and he can play with Dick. Sooner than he likes, Daddy has finished taking in the photo, and Dick stands up, letting go of him. Tim is reluctant to let go. Dick ruffles his hair. You're awesome, Tim tells him, because he isn't allowed to say he isn't scared of Dick even if he is a demon. Dick laughs. He's got a nice laugh. Not the demon laugh Tim once saw on TV. He doesn't have any fangs. At least none Tim can see. Though of course, he probably keeps it hidden. Just for that, Timmy boy, I will throw in a special flip today for you, Dick promises. Watch me carefully when I'm in the ring today. As soon as they leave, Mommy and Daddy crowd around Tim. Daddy actually kneels down beside Tim, looking at him, checking his pulse, lifts up his eyelids like they do at the doctor's office. Tim is puzzled, but he stays still. When Mommy and Daddy does something weird, you're supposed to stay still. Daddy looks disappointed, and he shakes his head as he looks up at Mommy. Timothy, Mommy asks, do you feel tired? Tim shakes his head vigorously. Of course he doesn't feel tired at all. Are they not going in? Cold? Mommy asks again, and that's even weirder. Yeah, it's evening, but it's so warm. Tim shakes his head again. Okay, when the boy touched you, did you feel cold? No, warm. He gives nice hugs. Mommy purses her lips. Tim knows that look. He's done something wrong, but he cannot work out what. Most of the time, he can't work out what. This time, at least Mommy doesn't say anything, just looks disappointed. Was the feather ready before the show began? Or thought this was the public? Yeah, or that. Now, just get what you can. Daddy pulls up a very white, very soft cloth from his pocket and wipes Tim's hair and where the Grayson touched. The sweat traces, Mommy sighs. Looks like they will have to do for now. The blood samples will be worthless if it didn't feed. They still go to watch the circus. Tim is afraid for a bit that they won't. Mommy and Daddy have to change plans so often. But this time, they don't change their plans. This time, they stay. Tim will later find himself wishing, more ardently than he had wished on any birthday candle, that they didn't stay. Tim watched as the flying Graysons entered the ring. He watched the warm-up act. He watched Dick Grayson throw a quadruple somersault. He isn't sure if that was the extra special flip Dick promised, but if it wasn't, he never gets to see it. He watched them fall. He first thinks it is a part of the act. They're demons. They can be hurt in a fall. It's got to be a part of the act. Like the clowns for before who slapped each other with heavy-looking boards but didn't even bruise. It's got to be a part of the act. They don't get up. The bodies lie where they fell. The red in their suits now looks a lot wetter, a lot sharper. Tim watches it all. Around him, people cover their eyes. People cover children's eyes. Mommy and Daddy are too shocked to cover his eyes. And he can't turn away. He just can't turn away. He watches as the body stops twitching. He watches as Dick Grayson runs up to the bodies, falls to his knees beside them, and screams. He watches as someone from the crowd enters the ring, puts his arm around Dick, pulls him into a hug, tells him not to look. It seems like a long, long while before Mommy hurriedly hauls Tim to his feet, telling him to move along, that everyone is leaving. In the car, Mommy and Daddy talk a lot, wave their hands about the way they do when they're getting angry. Tim isn't sure what they are talking about. He can't really listen, only catching a few words. He feels too floaty. Mommy and Daddy talk about curses, about the spells that would have taken them, and things Tim can't really make sense of. He doesn't try to much. Mommy and Daddy don't like him asking questions. Not when they are busy, but Tim does ask this time. He has to. Why did demons don't talk more clearly, Timothy? Mommy is distracted, texting someone on her phone. Tim manages to pull himself together. Demons can't die from just falling, can they? They didn't die from the fall. Mommy gives him the look she reserved for when he asks some really stupid question, and Tim is sorry. But at least this time, she explains. It was a curse. They got careless, forgot to follow the rules. So a curse got them. This is what happens when people got careless, Timothy. Never forget that. They got careless? Mommy doesn't answer. Going back to texting, Tim doesn't ask more. He is still feeling too sick and floaty. He just goes to bed. He spends the hours before he finally falls asleep wondering if it was his fault. Wondering if Dick Grayson broke the rules by hugging him. If that was what went wrong. Mommy and Daddy don't hug him because he's a big boy now. And big boys don't need to be cuddled. So Dick broke the rules when he hugged him, right? Is that why? Was it his fault? Will Dick hate him now? He keeps seeing the bright clad bodies twitching on the rink's sawdust floor. He keeps hearing Dick Grayson scream. He remembers the hug, remembers the smiles. He wonders whenever Dick Grayson will ever smile or laugh like that again. Outer notes. Tim is going to be the only human, other than Bruce, in the Bat family probably, lol. Bruce needs some company. Reader's note. This is a part of series which is called Demon AU. There are 7 works in it. I don't think I'm gonna read all. I'm definitely gonna read one more from it because I really liked that one. And yeah, that's it.